Thanks for joining us today, everyone, and welcome to Service Secrets. And today I'm excited because we have Rory Vaden. Most of you know Rory because you've been part of our show here in the DeJulius Group for a while, so you know that Rory has come to the Secret Service Summit as a speaker and has been to the Secret Service Summit multiple times. So I'm thrilled to have Rory with us today. If you don't know Rory, he is a New York Times bestselling author and a Wall Street Journal bestselling author. He is the co-founder of Southwestern Consulting, and a lot of you know him from his very popular podcast, the Action Catalyst podcast. Rory, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, Dave, it's good to be here with you. And we had you as a guest on the Action Catalyst podcast here a couple weeks ago. That was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun. I got to tell you, I have received so much positive feedback from being on your podcast. I've just been getting, it seems like a couple a day, random LinkedIn notes or tweets, constant feedback, constant great feedback about your show. So you have quite an audience. Let me tell you, it's a large audience.
Cool. That's great. We love hearing that.
So I have a line of questioning for you. And it really kind of goes back to your first book is where I want to start, Take the Stairs. And you've done so many great things in your career that I figured I'd kind of go chronologically with you today and start with Take the Stairs. So I love that book. It has such a great message. I have to think that even though it's been out for a few years now, you still get some great feedback when you're out traveling, speaking to groups, or in your consulting practice. So I'm just curious, what kind of stories do you still hear from folks who have been touched by that book?
Well, Take the Stairs is a book about the psychology of how to do the things you know you should be doing that you don't feel like doing, right? Self-discipline, in a word. And it's about overcome procrastination. And so usually the stories that we hear are related to somebody has some fear in their life or some change that they know they need to make and they haven't been able to do it. So we hear a lot of stories about people who have grown their personal sales. We hear a lot of stories of weight, a lot of weight. We hear a lot of stories. It seems like recently we've heard some stories about that the book has made between parent and child. So Take the Stairs is it's a book that is it's the research and psychology behind it, but it's written at a level that actually it's mandatory reading for a couple high schools here I know around Nashville.
Oh, cool.
You probably can read the book, and so a lot of high schools and colleges use it, and so it creates this bond between parents because it sort of gives them a sort of a start, doing the unpopular things and doing the things that maybe most people wouldn't do in the escalator world, but choosing to do them anyways because they know and in the long run.
That's great. That's great. That's what I love about the book. I remember you and I talking about it years ago when you were coming to the summit. I think it was prior to the 2014 summit, and how life-changing that book really is for some of the folks who have read it and gotten over those things like fears or finally able to shed those pounds, whatever it is. So that must be so cool to hear people come up to you and say, hey, your work, what you wrote has helped me change my life.
Yeah, it is cool. And it's funny, this is part of my secret. This is one of my, probably my biggest is that I write 3 times a week at roryvadenblog.com. Well, 2 times a week, Monday and Friday, and then Wednesday is the podcast. But I write, or every book I write is always written, each piece of it is written to a person in my life. So a lot of times when people say, hey, it feels like you're writing just to me, a lot of that comes from the fact, I think, that before I write any article, I will usually put the name of the person in my life that I'm to. And a lot of times it's to myself, to either to myself that I'm disappointed with, or to myself that I want to, or almost as a letter of what I have learned. A lot of my blogs are like letters to myself about what I've learned, or they're to people in my life. It's like a letter to them as to what they would learn. But then, of course, I strip out all the context and the names and everything. So I very much write directly to, not to the world, but
I lost you there. Rory, can you hear me? I can see you.
Can you hear me?
Now I can. Yes, we're back.
We're back. That was for dramatic pause for dramatic effect.
Well, that was so interesting too. I had not heard that before. Where we lost you was where you were explaining how you write to somebody. Sometimes it's yourself, and then you remove the names but keep the context. And what a fascinating way to do things, and it obviously works very well.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's a good way to creep across all the various lessons that I'm learning in my life as I go along.
Very cool. So let's move to the next book, which had just come out, or was, I think, about to come out when you were at the summit last to speak.
Yeah.
And that's Procrastinate on Purpose, 5 Permissions to Multiply Your Time. And again, I would have to think that first of all, the title's so fantastic that it really must resonate with people, and they must find it so appealing and pick that book up so easily because of that title. And I would have to think, similar to Take the Stairs, you must hear a lot from people saying, thank goodness for this book, and that certain stories touch them and help them make changes in their life.
Well, Procrastinate on Purpose really hits the core of what a lot of us are struggling with. I mean, at Southwest, we've had about 5,500 coaching clients, which of course, one-on-one coaching is our business. And 70% of our clients say that time management is the number one thing that they're struggling with. That seems to be the most common thing. And so the Procrastinate on Purpose is actually, the title isn't, that's one of the 5 strategies in the book is knowing when to procrastinate and when to take action. But the book is really about how to multiply time. And the whole premise of the book is that you multiply time by giving yourself the emotional permission to spend time on things today that give you more time tomorrow. Call that the significance calculation. It's breaking free from the normal paradigm, which is an urgency paradigm. The important thing I do today, and that's when our perspective is always only one day, versus multipliers are people who think about not today but tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and so they give themselves permission to spend time on the things today that give them more time or results tomorrow. And the significance calculation changes everything.
That's so great. And I remember having so many aha moments when I read that book for the first time about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. And if anyone out there has not read it, please pick it up, because it is fantastic. Rory, you mentioned Southwestern Consulting and what you do. Can you share with our viewers everything you do? Because primarily it's coaching, but you offer some other things as well on the sales side, and some other things that you guys do as well, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, what we do is we help companies increase their sales, and so we do consulting, coaching, and speaking. So I'll speak at events. Some of my partners speak at events. I know you guys had AJ, my wife AJ, one of the other founding partners. My wife came and spoke at the Secret Service Summit last year, which was awesome. And so we do speaking and we do consulting, where we'll work with companies to recruit, motivate salespeople, which is what we're really good at. But then the core of our business is actually one-on-one coaching. So we do one-on-one coaching for either the salesperson, who's like a realtor, financial advisor, insurance agent, or anybody. We've got about 1,700 active clients right now. We also owners on doing online sales. So if they're trying to launch webinars or create funnels and things like that. And then we have sales leadership coaching for people who manage sales teams. So coaching is really our bread and butter, is working with people We believe in servant selling, and that earning a person's trust is more important than winning a sale. And the sales, you should be on a mission, and that it's hard to be nervous when your heart's on service. And I think that's why we love you guys so much, is we're so from the standpoint that if you exceed expectations with your customers, that will be the greatest stream of clients. And that's why we're such students of you guys. We just love you to death. And I think even though, classically you guys are more of a, more in that customer service space and we're in the sales space, it's, we're both in the people business and growing business.
Right. And going back to when we were together a few weeks ago on the Action Catalyst podcast, we were talking so much about how really it's all about the relationship and focusing on that person and taking your mind away from the transaction and focusing on the interaction. It's the same thing whether you're in a sales capacity or a service capacity. It's all about that interaction that you're having.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amen. And I think your greatest source of new customers is serving the existing customer. And look at that in sales, it's so easy to just be so transactional. And so we want to change the way the world thinks about selling. We believe it's one of the most honorable things that a person can do when it's done the right way, and that people need sales because they need help making decisions. Ultimately, salespeople selling is not talking people into things that they don't want. It's bending over backwards to help people make a decision about what is right for them. And so that's a big mission that we are on. And that's what we do, is we help people make more income personally, but it's people think like either I could be a great ethical salesperson or I could make a lot of money, and it's both of them. You can make more money by doing it the right way, and by being professionally trained, and that's what we love. And time management is a huge part of everybody's life these days, and so multiplying time and the principles from Procrastinating on Purpose are also what we talk a lot about.
Yeah, what a great point too, that ethics and making money don't have to be mutually exclusive of each other, which at one point it seemed like they were in some old ways of thinking. So that's great that so many organizations are having you share that with their folks, because it's the right way to do things, quite honestly, and it works.
Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, one of the ways that people who haven't heard of you, maybe not have read your books or haven't seen you speak, are hearing of you today is through the Action Catalyst podcast. And as we talked about, I was thrilled to be a part of it. It was a lot of fun, and the feedback I've gotten, as I mentioned, has been great. So it's also found on Twitter. I have to mention #ACP for anyone who's looking for it or wants to follow it. So it's so cool. It's so informative. And tell me a little bit, or tell our viewers a little bit about what it has to offer, because it seems like it's a wealth of information.
Yeah, well, the tagline of the show is insights and inspiration for movers and shakers in the world of business. And I'm an author and a speaker and an entrepreneur and all that, but I'm really a student first. And one of the best descriptions of the show actually came from one of the listeners. They said, Rory, what I love about your podcast is you don't play the role of expert that is teaching. You play the role of student, and it's fascinating to hear you ask questions because you're learning. So sometimes I joke with my guests that it's like my free 30 minutes of consulting from them, because I get them to come on the show, and I could just ask them like, so I'm struggling with this, and how does this work? And on the show, I will usually debrief, and I'll kind of share like, here's what I learned from what they said, and here's the things that I and kind of do a debrief, and then I try to translate it into action. I try to take every single interview and translate it into an action plan, so that it's like, okay, you get the information, and then the end of it is like, what are the action steps that you can go out and do? And that's what my I'm obviously a sub brand of Southwestern Consulting, and Southwestern Consulting is all about, sales. But for me, my specific area of focus is around helping people take action. And that's what Take the Stairs is about, is overcoming procrastination. And that's what Procrastinate on Purpose is about, is basically about managing distraction and busyness, so that you can take action on the things that really matter in your life. And I think that, that's what the podcast is really all about, is different perspectives on ways to take action in different parts of our business, marketing and sales and leadership and stuff like that. And just the guests are amazing. I get so much free advice. It's really ridiculous.
Well, it's truly a great show. I enjoyed being on it. I've listened to some others, and it really is so much great information. So if you are out there watching us right now and you have not checked out the Action Catalyst podcast, I suggest you pick up your phone right now and find it and listen in, because it is fantastic. So I have one more question for you, Rory, before I let you go. We talked about it already, but you have spoken at our Secret Service Summit.
Mm-hmm.
AJ has spoken at our Secret Service Summit. And this year, you are sending a team from Southwestern Consulting to be at the summit. The summit, by the way, is in Cleveland, Ohio. I should say beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, September 29th and 30th of this year. So just a few days away, about a week and a half, 2 weeks and a half, I should say. So my question is this: what are you looking for your team to take back when they get back to the offices in Nashville? What do you want them to bring back with them from the Secret Service Summit?
Yeah, well, this is actually, so I spoke twice, and last year we sent a team, and it was a conflict this year because they had such an amazing time. People were literally fighting over who got to go this year. Our whole team wanted to go. I think it's really simple. Your question about what do I want them to get is one thing I'll answer, but I think, the biggest thing I want them to understand is what Secret Service is and what the difference is between customer service and Secret Service. I want them to experience the heart service looks like, and not just the education. Like, part of it is the education that you guys provide, but a huge part of it is the example that you provide. It's actually all of your Secret Service agents that run around and they get coffee for everybody, and they know things about people, and they pay attention, and they use all the customer intelligence that you guys gather. And I just love that. I want our team to be like that. I want our team to be more interested in others than they are in themselves, and to create that experience that is all about the customer. And so a big part of it is the education. You have some of my best speaker friends this year. The lineup that you guys have is so crazy. You got Sally Hogshead, you got David Horsager, you got Tim Gard is coming again, isn't he?
Yes, he's actually our MC this year, which is going to be fantastic.
He's like the funniest person that I've ever heard, and so it's an amazing lineup. So and then of course you and John just sort of teaching the nuts and bolts of what's the secret and Secret Service is amazing. But it's your team and the heart of your team that I want that to contagiously infect our team. I just want it to absorb our team, because that's the kind of people that we want to be, and we want to teach our customers to be. So, we're huge fans and students first. I guess we're probably your friends first, and then we're students second, or maybe we're students first and friends second. But we just love you guys, and we're going to be there. A big group of us, and man, you got to go. It's amazing.
Yeah, it truly is. John. Every year, John will come into our office and say, this is the best lineup ever. And he's always right. It does get better and better every year. And it's getting to be that time. We're going to have you back really soon, maybe next year or the year after. Yeah,
well, we're working on a book about servant selling. And I think whenever that happens, that'll probably be another natural time for me to maybe make another appearance.
Great. I'm looking forward to it already. So,
yeah.
Rory, thank you so much for making the time today. We really appreciate having you. Looking forward to seeing your team in Cleveland in just a couple of weeks at the summit. And I'm looking forward to the next time that you and I get to connect somewhere working with a client and helping them provide better service and better sales results.
Amen. Amen to that, brother. Well, and just thank you for having me, and everybody watching. Remember, success is never owned. Success is only rented, and the rent is due every day.
What a great way to end. Thank you, Rory, and thanks everyone for joining us today on Service Secrets with Rory Vaden, and we'll see you next time.